po sa ating lahat. By the way, ako po si Rowie Azucena, and today I'll be going to discuss to you one movement across cell membrane. One function of cell membrane is that it lets some things in and keep others out. Ang tinutukoy nito is yung molecule. Yung ibang molecules is pinapapasok ng cell membrane while other molecules binablock niya. If we're going to relate in our life, di ba, we tend to accept some people na alam natin na makakatulong sa ating sarili na, for example, yung friends natin. At alam natin na itong friend ko pala is makakatulong sa akin. He or she will give me advice. So, ganun din yung cell membrane na it lets some molecules na papasok para nang sa ganun, yung cell is ma-fulfill niya yung duty niya or magampanan niya yung role niya. Well, binablock niya yung other molecule kasi alam niyang nakakasira ito sa cell. Diba, katulad sa atin din na dinidisregard natin yung isang tao kasi alam natin na permiso siya sa ating buhay, kaya binablock natin siya. Ayaw natin ng toxic, kaya binablock natin. So, parang ganun ang function ng cell membrane. At ang tawag dun is selective permeability. So, next slide. If they were to lose this selectivity, kapag daw hindi nagampanan ng cell membrane itong function niya, the cell would no longer be able to sustain itself and would be destroyed. Diba? Kasi kapag hindi niya pinipili yung molecules, it tends to yung ibang molecules papasok sa cell na kung saan siguro ito yung makakasira dun sa loob ng cell, kaya it needs pa rin na kailangan ng pagpili ng cell membrane dun sa molecules. Pipiliin niya lang yung mga molecules na tutulong sa cell or yung kailangan ng cell para magampanan niya yung function niya. Okay, there are two movements across cell membrane. However, ang i-discuss ko lang dito is passive transport, while the others will be going to discuss to you the active transport. So, ang difference ng dalawa is yung passive transport, hindi niya kailangan ng ATP. Yung energy, hindi niya kailangan. While active transport, kailangan niya ng ATP. So, I have here an illustration in order for you to distinguish the difference between the two. Illustration, for example, sa river, yung flow ng water is going to right as what the arrow illustrated. And then, we have here bangka at inaname natin siya ng passive, ay active. At meron din tayong isang bangka na papangalanan natin ng passive. So, ganito siya. Yung flow ng passive, yung flow ng bangkang to, papunta siya sa direction ng river. Na kung saan, itong passive, hindi siya traverse dun sa flow ng water. However, itong active naman, itong bangkang to, traverse siya dun sa flow ng water, meaning babanggain niya yung flow ng water. Kaya itong active na to, kailangan niya ng maraming energy or kailangan niya ng energy para makapunta dito. So, just like in a boat, kailangan niya ng maraming sagwan. Parang yung sagwan, ito yung ATP para makapunta dito. However, itong passive, kahit hindi na kailangan ng sagwan, through the flow of the water, makakapunta pa rin siya ng dito sa may bandang dito. So, that's the basic difference between passive and active transport. So, ano ba tong passive transport na to? Ang passive transport, it is the movement of molecules from higher concentration to lower concentration. And then, kaya nang nabanggit ko kanina, hindi niya kailangan ng ATP. So, just like in a cell, for example, ito yung cell. Yung sa loob ng cell, it has a lower concentration. Pero sa surroundings niya, it has a higher concentration. So, ang movement ng molecule is from higher, galing siya sa labas, papasok siya dun sa loob ng cell na kung saan it has a lower concentration. So there are examples of passive transport. The first one is diffusion. Diffusion is the movement of small or lipophilic molecules like oxygen gas and carbon dioxide. Molecules are able to go right through the lipid bilayer. So kaagad daw makakapasok itong oxygen gas and carbon dioxide na to kasi ang carbon dioxide at oxygen gas ay tiny, maliliit sila at saka non-polar. Wherein yung papasukan nila na lipid bilayer ay gawa sa non-polar material. Kaya, yung non-polar material na yun ng cell membrane, hindi niya i-repel yung molecules na yun like oxygen gas and carbon dioxide. Tsaka maliliit sila, kaya kaagad silang makakapasok. So, I have here an example. The frog inhales air containing oxygen which moves into the lungs and then diffuses into the bloodstream. So, sa paano yung diffusion dito through passive transport. So, I have here a illustration. Ito yung diffusion through passive transport dun sa given example. So, di ba sa lungs, we have thousands of air sacs and we call it as alveoli. So, for example, ito yung alveoli ng frog. Ang sabi is, nag-inhale yung frog containing oxygen. So, di ba nabanggit kanina, yung oxygen is tiny and non-polar siya. So, nag-inhale yung frog. So, we have here oxygen gas. So, parang ganito yung oxygen gas. And then, once na na-fill tong air sacs na to, diffusion occurs na. Itong mga molecules na to, magde-diffuse siya dito sa bloodstream ng frog. And then, yung red blood cells, kukunin niya itong molecules na to, and then, i-deliver sa buong katawan na ng frog. So, ang sabi kanina, passive transport moves from higher concentration to lower concentration. That's why yung alveoli natin, it has a higher concentration. While the bloodstream, na kung saan nag-diffuse yung oxygen gas natin, ito yung lower concentration natin. So, ganyan ang diffusion through passive transport. The next one is facilitated diffusion. Ang facilitated diffusion, other proteins form channels through which molecules move across the cell membrane. So, di ba kanina sa diffusion, it is about oxygen gas, carbon dioxide, ganyan. Tapos itong facilitated diffusion naman, glucose siya, ions, and others. So, from the word facilitated, may tutulong dun sa mga molecules na yun para makapasok dun sa loob ng cell. For example, nadapa ka sa bahay nyo, and then, may pilay ka. So, sinong tutulong sa'yo para makapunta sa kwarto mo para magpahinga? So, di ba, it can be your parents, it can be your siblings. So, may tutulong sa'yo para makapasok dun. So, ganyan ang facilitated diffusion. May tutulong sa'yo para makapasok dun sa loob ng cell. Ang tawag dun sa tutulong sa'yo is yung protein channel. Sila yung gateway para makapasok dun sa loob ng cell. So, ang example dito is, given example is, how glucose is removed from our blood. So, illustrate ko sa inyo kung paano yung facilitated diffusion dito sa given examples. Ganito yung illustration. After we have meal, the amount of glucose increases in our blood. For example, ito yung mga glucose molecule na to, na kung saan it has a higher concentration. Tsaka, let's say, ito yung cell membrane natin na kung saan it has a protein channel. So, madaming protein channels yan. Tapos, let's say, dito sa bandang to, ito yung loob na ng cell wherein it has a lower concentration. So, bakit hindi kagaya ng oxygen gas at carbon dioxide na pwede namang mag-diffuse kaagad? Hindi, kasi ang glucose molecule is fairly large molecule sila, malalaki sila, kaya kailangan nila ng tulong in order for them to pass through the cell membrane. At ang tutulong sa kanila is itong protein channel na to. Itong protein channel na to, nakaklose yan. So, there's a problem again. So, ang gagawin ng pancreas is, it will produce a insulin. So, magproduce siya ng insulin para ma-open to. And that's the time now na itong mga molecules na to, glucose molecules na to, pwede na silang makapasok dito sa protein channel na to down to cell. So, the movement of molecules is from higher concentration down to lower concentration. So, ganyan ang facilitated diffusion. Tutulungan ng protein channel itong mga molecules na to para makapasok sila sa loob. So, parang ito yung gateway.
Osmosis is a process where water molecules diffuse across selectively permeable membranes from areas of higher concentration to lower concentration. Also, the movement of water is affected by the amount of substance dissolved in it. We have three types of osmotic condition: the hypertonic solution, the isotonic solution, and the hypotonic solution. So what are these solutions? Let's take 3 plates of containers with salt solution of different concentration in each. Let's add few red blood cells that are basins in each of the plate. After a while, we notice that the first set has cells which shrink, and the second set is just the same, while the third set has the cells which are swollen or get bulge. Any idea why these things happens? In the first case, the water content in the surrounding solution is less as compared to the cells placed in it. In other words, the salt content of the solution is more. Therefore, this solution is the concentrated one. That's the reason why the water molecules move from inside the cells to the outside solution as the concentration of the water was higher within the cells. Hence, the cells started shrinking. This kind of solution is called as hypertonic solution. So what is hypertonic solution? It is a solution with higher salt concentration. Now, let us look at the second case. Here, the level of salt and water seems to be the same on the either side of the cell membrane, that is both within and outside the cell. Therefore, there was a balance in the movement of water. This means that the movement of water was the same in either directions. As a result, the size of the cells did not change and remained the same. This kind of solution is called isotomic solution. Two solutions are isotomic when the concentration of water is the same on either of the semi-permeable membrane. Now, we go to the last case. The cells in this case are surrounded by a dilute solution that is by higher water concentration. The salt dissolved is less and the water content is higher. Therefore, water molecules move inside the cells, causing the cells get swollen or bulge. This solution is called hypotonic solution. In other words, solution with a higher water concentration compared to others. As I mentioned a while back, we have three types of osmotic condition. First is we have the hypertonic solution. This is a solution with a higher salt concentration. The cell inside shrink. Next is we have the isotomic. A concentration of water is the same on either of the semi-permeable membrane. The cell inside did not change. And lastly, the hypotonic. This is a solution with a higher water concentration, causing the cell inside get swollen or get bulge. That's all for today. Thank you.